The Beast of Bolton. Hello and welcome to Strange Britain. As always, I'm Adrian, your host with the Ghost, and as I'm sure you're about to work out, I'm really equal opportunities when it comes to strange and weird tales. We've had ghost stories so far on Strange Britain. I'm working on a UFO encounter, but today it's all about cryptids. Cryptic creatures that may not belong. In this story that's adapted from my book, Strange Manchester, for decades word of mouth whispers, rumours and blurry photographs have fueled a mystery in the British countrysides. Tales have abounded of elusive predators far larger and more exotic than our native wildlife. From the moorlands of the southwest to the highlands of Scotland, eyewitness accounts speak of sleek black panthers, powerful pumas and even the occasional lynx or lion. Creatures seemingly out of place in our familiar green landscape, but nonetheless they're said to stalk our fields and forests. Is it merely folklore, a trick of the eye, or could there be a hidden truth behind these countless sightings? Join me today as I delve into some of the evidence and we hear a few quotes from those who claim to have come face to face with Britain's own phantom big cats. The question remains, are these magnificent animals truly out there, silently stalking the shadows of our unsuspecting land? Let's find out in today's episode of Strange Britain. We're going to be heading to Greater Manchester, Bolton to be precise, where, over the last 20 years or so, big cat sightings have become relatively commonplace. Now, to be clear, I'm not talking about large domestic tabbies like my good old Kit.
Smile for the camera, don't be a grump. This is Kit, he's a very large black cat. No? Are you a very small black cat then? Yeah.
Instead, we're talking about an altogether more exotic species of cat. The sightings appear to have begun rather abruptly in 2006. Anne Wright, who was the head of English at Runworth School, said she saw the creature when she looked out of her bedroom window of her home in Spring Meadows, Darcy Lever. She said,
I was looking out the window at about 9:15 a.m. on Saturday. As I looked at about 200 yards ahead, I could clearly see a black animal. I concentrated on it and it had a panther-like profile. It was walking slowly with intent, keeping its head down. It was unlike any animal I'd seen before in a setting like that. I called the police, who called back a few minutes later and said they were treating the call seriously.
Police were indeed very interested. It turned out Anne's sighting was actually one of several that came in that morning, all claiming to have seen a large black cat, but after extensive inquiries no cat could ever be found. In total, there were over 24 sightings made to the police in the June and July of 2006. Recorded sightings then stopped for a couple of years, but in August 2009 the beast was back. The first of this new batch of sightings was made by a former police officer no less, Peter Wood of Brightmet. He spotted the beast stalking its way through Leverhulme Park.
It was a big black cat, about the size of a Labrador, but sleek. I saw the end of it, it was just running from right to left at incredible speed, like a leopard or a panther type creature.
Barry Calvert spotted it around the same time near the Shonshat Shrine in Kearsley, which is a bit of a tongue twister, and he saw it about 10 am in the morning. Mr Calvert, 58 of Kearsley, said he was able to see the beast from a distance of about 100 metres and he watched it for about 5 minutes. He said, I saw this thing and it looked like a black puma, big. It definitely wasn't a domestic cat and it definitely wasn't a dog. It was about 4 or 5 foot long and it was walking cautiously as though it was ready to go into stalking mode. In September 2009, a guy called Chris spotted the big cat near the golf club in Longshot Park. Good name to actually have a golf club, that, Longshot. Anyway, in April 2010, the beast was spotted by an off-duty police officer called PC Clark while cycling home from work. He said it was a big black cat about the size of a Labrador but sleek and slender. The next recorded sighting happened in October 2010. Barbara Cook, who was working at the Holland Garden Centre, had this to say about her sighting.
I was working in the polytunnel in the nursery part of the garden centre when I saw an animal leaping about in the tall grass. I managed to get a bit closer and saw a black cat about the size of my golden retriever, not as sticky but with a long tail.
Sticky? What exactly is her golden retriever made of if it's sticky? Although I think we all can work out what she means. Alana Belk claimed to have seen the beast on multiple occasions around Farnworth Cemetery, with her most recent sighting happening in the October of 2012. She went on to say, "We haven't seen it for a long time, but we don't walk the dogs in the field near the cemetery anymore. But some people have come up to us and said they've seen it too, so who knows?" At around 9:30 p.m. on Tuesday the 10th of November 2015, Natalie Kay was driving her car along Dohay Road near Farnworth when she had to slam her brakes on because the beast was right in front of her. It just stopped dead right in the middle of the road and it was staring at me. I knew it wasn't a dog. It looked like a cat, but it wasn't. It was much bigger and had a long tail and pointed ears and those greedy yellow eyes. You hear of these animals in jungles, but you don't think of anything like that living here in Bolton. She went on to say that it ran down the dirt track that goes from Dohay Road down to the higher and lower Dohay reservoirs. There was another sighting in 2017. Claire Parker was looking out over the fields behind her house in Little Lever and was shocked to see a large black cat stalking its way across the fields. She called her husband and the pair of them watched the creature for around 5 minutes. From 2019 to 2020, an identical and most likely the same creature was spotted just over the border in Cheshire. In December 2020, a delivery driver named Richard Evans managed to snap a rather compelling photograph of the beast on Chester Meadows. In February 2021, in the Latchford area of Warrington, just 14 miles away from Bolton, Richard Allsop was looking out of his kitchen window when he saw the beast walking along the old railway embankment that runs alongside the Manchester Ship Canal. He said he was at the kitchen sink, looked out the window and noticed a creature walking on the railway line. It was definitely a large cat of some description. Sightings carried on throughout 2021, suggesting the Beast of Bolton might have migrated over the border to Cheshire, or that perhaps it's just got a rather large territory it regularly roams. 14 miles is nothing for a big cat. The rolling hills surrounding Egerton, which is a little picturesque village on the outskirts of Bolton, and it's a landscape familiar to countless dog walkers and nature enthusiasts. On the morning of January the 30th, 2024, so just last year at the time of recording, the tranquil scene held a fleeting glimpse of this extraordinary beast as the Beast of Bolton was back in Bolton. Robin Rimmer was enjoying a routine walk with her 3 small dogs along Dimple Hall Lane, and her gaze was looking into the field opposite. It was then she saw something that stopped her dead in her tracks. "I was just looking down onto the field, keeping an eye on the dogs, and then I saw it. It was unmistakable, a big black cat, not like anything you'd normally see around here." The encounter, though brief, left a lasting impression. The sheer size and distinctive features of the animal set it apart from any domestic pet she'd ever seen. It definitely wasn't a big cat. There's no mistaking that. It turned its head and looked directly at me for a moment. You could see the shape of its head, the ears. It was powerful looking. Concerned for the safety of her little furry companions, Robin decided against seeking a closer approach. It was such a large animal and I didn't want to risk anything. Curiously, Robin was not alone on her walk. She had her friend with her and she kept saying, "Look, look, look," because it was clearly this massive big cat that she was seeing. But at the time her friend had turned, the creature had disappeared into the long grass. Their friend never actually saw the creature, but they saw Robin clearly in a state of distress upon seeing it, so can attest that Robin clearly believed that she saw something unusual and out of the ordinary. These most recent sightings add another chapter to the long-standing legend of the Beast of Bolton, this phantom predator that continues to capture the imagination and occasionally reveals itself in the most unexpected of places. Based on the sightings and the photos, the video evidence and all of that kind of thing, I'm going to make an educated guess that if there is indeed a Beast of Bolton, it's most likely a black leopard of some description. From the size estimates, we can make an educated guess that it's going to be a female. They're typically smaller than the males and fit the description of slightly larger than the golden retriever size quite well. Female leopards are typically around 22 inches tall, with a tail that's a little over 2 foot long. They typically weigh between 30 and 50 kg. Now Kit, who I was carrying at the start, she weighs about 8 kg, so there could be at minimum you're talking about 4 times the size of her, so they're big cats. For diet, they're opportunistic predators and be happy enough preying on rabbits along with the occasional fox, both of which are in abundance in the area, as well as perhaps the odd sheep or chicken. A lone leopard would make such a small impact on the area's other wildlife it could likely go unnoticed. The question then becomes, if we do have a wild leopard stalking Bolton, where did it come from? A good working theory is that it might be an escaped pet. Big cats became illegal to own in the UK back in the 1970s, and a lot of owners were either unwilling or unable to report them to the police or the RSPCA, so they kind of just let them loose. In 2015, there was a man called Leighton Brierley, and he came forward with a sighting that he claimed happened back in June 2006, right around the time when the first sightings occurred. He said he saw the beast on Bromwich Street. He just left his girlfriend's flat when the beast emerged from a nearby garage, brushed past his leg before padding off into the night. It makes Leighton the only known person to claim to have come into direct contact with the animal. He said the reason he didn't come forward with his story until November 2015 was that he feared nobody would believe him. When he saw a story in the local paper about the Beast of Bolton, he felt confident that he might actually be taken seriously. And I think this sighting could be the key. If it was seen leaving the garage on Bromwich Street, that could have been its home. Perhaps it was an escaped pet being kept illegally. And it's clear at the time it wasn't wary of humans, which again suggests it might have been raised by them. The question then is, did it escape, or had it grown too big to control? Was it just too expensive to feed and was therefore intentionally released? I'm not sure. Leopards have an average lifespan of anywhere around 17 to 20 years, although in captivity they can reach up to around 30. So we assumed it was an adolescence that was released back in 2006. We could have at least a few more years sightings ahead of us. Hopefully one day someone will be able to get a first sample, or better yet, capture the beast alive and unharmed, and then we'll finally have a definitive answer and can formally identify what the Beast of Bolton is. Please, 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 if you've enjoyed this, leave a like, leave a comment, let me know about some other spooky stories. You can check out my take on the Beast of Bolton in my book Strange Manchester, which is really, really good. It's on 4.7 or 4.6 stars on Amazon. You can find it on there. You can also get the audiobook, which is narrated by a lovely guy called Pete McGiffin. If you've heard some of the fun voices for some of the quotes, that's actually been Pete McGiffin's voice taken from the audiobook, because I don't really do voices. And if you want to support me, the best thing you can do, if you're local to Sheffield, come along to some of my events. Go to strangebritain.eventbrite.com. They're all on there. I do the regular Friday night ghost tours around Sheffield city centre. Got special events coming up, so please check them all out. And whatever you do, keep it spooky.